We've got some breaking news now, and that's from a spokeswoman from the Ministry of Justice has said that Max Clifford, the disgraced former celebrity publicist, has died in hospital at the age of 74. He was in jail. He was serving an 8-year jail sentence for historical sex offences at Little Hay Prison in Cambridgeshire. And earlier it was reported that he was being treated in a critical care unit after suffering a heart attack. So confirmation now from the Ministry of Justice saying that Max Clifford has died in hospital after collapsing in prison in Cambridgeshire at the age of 74. This is Sky News at 1. Our main story this afternoon. The disgraced celebrity publicist Max Clifford has died after collapsing in prison. Storm Caroline brings heavy snowfall across much of the UK, causing disruption on the roads, the rails and in the air. The Brexit secretary insists Theresa May's thawing relationship with Europe means the odds on a no-deal Brexit have dramatically reduced. The Foreign Office describes Boris Johnson's trip to Iran as worthwhile after he raises the case of the jailed Briton Nazanin Zaghari Ratcliffe. Lebanese security forces fired tear gas as demonstrators protest President Trump's decision to recognize Jerusalem as Israel's capital. Students to be offered the chance to do their degrees in 2 years and save a fifth of the fees. At last, The Last Jedi's world premiere takes place in LA ahead of its UK opening this week. And in sport, we're looking ahead to Derby Day in the Premier League as leaders Manchester City visit rivals United and Liverpool play Everton. Well, good afternoon. We begin with the breaking news that the former celebrity publicist Max Clifford has died after collapsing in prison. The 74-year-old was serving an 8-year sentence after being found guilty in 2014 of 8 counts of historical indecent assault. Well, Sky's Ashish Joshi is here. And Ashish, just talk to us a bit about who Max Clifford was.
Max Clifford was probably in the 80s and 90s one of the best known publicists and PR gurus in the showbiz and entertainment world. He was the master of spin, working very closely with the Red Tops. He represented some very famous clients at the height of his career. When he started off, he worked for the EMI record label. He was the one who'd write press releases about the Beatles when they first emerged on the scene, when not really very many people were taking notice of the band. He went on to represent Muhammad Ali, Frank Sinatra, Chelsea Football Club. But it was because of the kiss and tell stories that the Sunday tabloids were so infamous at covering. And Max Clifford was at the heart of most of these. And there's a very famous headline. He represented clients like the comedian Freddie Starr, and Freddie Starr ate my hamster. That very famous Red Top headline that was completely invented by Max Clifford. The Ministry of Justice have put out a statement about his death in prison in intensive care after suffering cardiac arrest. Let me read that to you first of all. They said, as with all deaths in custody, there will be an investigation by the Independent Prisons and Probation Ombudsman. Our condolences are with Mr. Clifford's family at this difficult time. And as you said at the top of the bulletin, he was serving time. 8 years for a string of sex offences, indecent assault offences against women aged between 14 and 19. And this is after Operation U-Tree, the investigation into historical sex offences after the revelations about Jimmy Savile. Max Clifford was very quickly onto the scene to say in the 60s and 70s we didn't really ask girls for their birth certificates, so suggesting that this was an atmosphere where sexual assaults against minors was prevalent. So he found himself at the heart of the story, really, and we have probably a clip to show you. This is when Max Clifford was on trial at Southwark Crown Court, and our reporter, my colleague Tom Parmenter, was covering the trial, and this will give you an indication if we have the pictures, I'm not sure whether we have them yet, but just how flippantly he was taking the entire process. He came up behind Tom as he was talking live to camera, reporting on the proceedings from court that day. And this clip was actually played in court because the judge wanted to see what Max Clifford had been up to. This is where it happens. Let's listen.
There being accused of being a fantasist or a liar. We also heard more evidence surrounding Max Clifford's intimate size details. And once again, Rosina Cottage QC said to the jury that it is not important the size, it is what he has done with it. Well, Max?
Okay.
I'm fine, thank you. You okay?
Yeah.
We'll carry on, shall we?
You carry on.
Okay.
I mean, that might just look like a bit of fun, but that was a serious trial. And that gave you an indication of Max Clifford's mentality at the time, thinking that he shouldn't have been in the dock, that he shouldn't have been on trial. And, you know, to appear doing that behind a reporter who's giving a live report of proceedings in court that day gives you an indication of what Max Clifford thought about the judicial process. And of course it was so serious that he ended up being convicted of a number of sex offences and spent 8 years in jail where he died.
Okay, Ashish, thanks a lot.